Clones that women hate. Fragrances that just turn women off. What men's fragrances should you be avoiding? So, I have a list here that is not necessarily my own. I don't necessarily agree with all these on the list, but I have found several lists from women that, have put together their most hated fragrances that they don't like smelling on men. So I'm gonna go over some of these, and I could see how some of them, measure up here. So the first one that they mention is Fahrenheit from Christian Dior. So Fahrenheit used to be pretty popular back in the day, not so much anymore. And I have, in recent times, come across many men and women who do not like Fahrenheit for several reasons. Pretty much, it's one or two things. Either people think that Fahrenheit smells kind of like gasoline, which is, I could definitely see that. Or they think it smells very medicinal, kind of like cough syrup, which I can also smell, because it has that really kind of like a sharp alcoholic kind of note, kind of weird between gasoline and cough syrup, which is not what you want to smell like, If you're a guy, you want to smell good. You don't want to smell either like gasoline or medicine. But Fahrenheit is a recurring fragrance that I often see on the most hated lists. So it kind of went from something that lots of people like to something a lot of people really hate. Of course, that could always change in the future. You know how tastes change in terms of fragrances, but for the moment, it's in the red. People are not happy about Fahrenheit at the moment. Then, another one, which I'm actually surprised about because I actually don't mind this one, which is Dior Sauvage. Everyone knows about Dior Sauvage, the Johnny Depp commercial, and all that. I personally don't mind it. It has a nice little pink pepper, some citrus, very aromatic. But I could see where people come from in that it is very sharp. It is very much in your face. As soon as you put this on, you're just gonna fill up the entire room. It's a little bit too intense in terms of that. Now, it is, I believe, a very traditional fougere fragrance, which is aromatic, kind of a little bit herbal, a little bit spicy, a little bit citrus, all these things, and it is super sharp. And again, I don't hate it. I actually kind of like it, but it is just so overwhelming. If you put on even a little bit too much, it is too overwhelming. Also, the big downside of it is that everyone wears it. Pretty much every guy has worn Dior Sauvage at some point. So the problem with it is that it's really oversaturated. And once you wear something that's oversaturated, you just get tired of it. Everyone else gets tired of it. They don't want to smell this thing anymore because everyone has been wearing it for too long and too often. So that's the main downside of Dior Sauvage, is that it is just really oversaturated and a little bit overwhelming. But those are the main kind of complaints that people seem to have about Dior Sauvage. Then, now this one I do agree with, and I've mentioned it before in some of my other most hated fragrance videos, and that is 1 Million by Paco Rabanne. And just about everyone I've spoken to, all the forums I've read, hate 1 Million. Why? Is because it is too sweet. It is pretty much marketed to be a clubbing fragrance, kind of a party fragrance. It is too sweet, especially for men. Sweetness in men's fragrance can be done well. I have smelled fragrances for men that are a little bit sweet. Paco Rabanne 1 Million is too sweet. It's too much. It is almost like you're swimming in candy, like gummy bears or something. It is too much. Even for women. If this was a women's fragrance, I would still not like it because it's too sweet and just overpoweringly sweet, It's really relentless, does not let up. And, it performs really well because it's so strong, to cut through those clubbing crowds, but, this is not it. This is, the last thing I would recommend for men to wear in any occasion, clubbing or otherwise. It's just too sweet and too overpowering, too powerful. Yeah, so not the best for that one. Then, one that I'm actually surprised about, because I actually quite like this one, is Tom Ford Black Orchid. I haven't come across too many Tom Ford fragrances that I dislike. Pretty much all of them I actually quite like a lot. Black Orchid is one of them. It is just a nice kind of heavier, warmer sort of scent. So I'm actually kind of surprised that it's on several people's lists of fragrances they don't like, but I can't, I mean, there are certain things that I suppose are dislikable to certain people, but you kind of get that with every fragrance. You're always going to have, some people that dislike something for one reason or another. So I have to disagree with the Black Orchid one for Tom Ford, but I guess, a significant amount of people seem to dislike it on men, but, take that as you will. Then another one, which I have also agreed with in the past, is Cool Water by Davidoff. So I don't have any hatred towards Cool Water, but I don't necessarily like it either, mainly because it is kind of a little bit generic smelling. Now, it's very fresh, very aquatic, very kind of summertime, fresh, watery sort of scent. Cool water, obviously you can imagine that it's going to be cold and fresh. Now, it's kind of weak because of that. A lot of fragrances that want to be clean and fresh and aquatic end up being pretty weak, not great longevity, that sort of thing. Some people say it's a little bit synthetic. I don't know if I would agree with that, but, I can kind of see it. And overall, I would say there are better fragrances in that genre of scents than Cool Water, especially because Cool Water is a little bit vintage by now. But there are a huge variety of different scents that do Cool Water better than Cool Water. There's longer lasting, better aquatic notes, that sort of thing. So that one I could also see as well. Now the last one, I'm gonna put a little bonus one because this one is super popular as well, which is Invictus by Paco Rabanne. We also have another Paco Rabanne here. So Invictus has its kind of rise and fall, where it used to be, the men's scent, now it's not the men's scent. And I can kind of see that because it's a strange mixture. You get this freshness in the beginning, and then it turns into this strange sweetness, almost like a candy sweetness. Again, the same problem that a lot of people have with 1 Million from Paco Rabanne. So the thing about Invictus as well is that it's super strong, and you don't necessarily want that when it turns really sweet, for men especially. So, it's just, again, strange, fresh to weirdly sweet sort of transition for that fragrance, but I don't think Invictus is that bad. If anything, I would say it's a bit more of a unisex scent, but, everyone smells a little bit differently, but I don't hate it, at least. It's not on my most hated list, but that is my list for now of fragrances that women don't seem to like. Again, I don't agree with all of these, but, take this list as you will. And hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, of course, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.